We're back under the house today to finish up this job. Previously, we set these new piers. They still have to be core filled. We were waiting for concrete. And the concrete is finally here, so we're gonna get mixing, core filling, and finish those 4 piers. Probably good?
Yeah, good enough.
This is good to eat, Dada.
Yeah. Chocolate cake batter.
Watch out. Watch out.
Don't breathe it in.
It's not that they don't work, but you know. Today I am just beaming because it's beam day. Our piers are set, the concrete is dry. Now we're gonna try to get our beams in place, and this is gonna be really good because then I can get inside and do some real framework. We have a 6x6 beam. I'm gonna get it cut to length, slid into place. We'll get it shimmed up. It's a pretty easy job, even though it seems like a big job. When you break it down, it's not too hard. So let's get it going, get this done, move on to something else. Let me go under there so we don't bump. I don't want to smash into any of the piers. Keep sliding. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm realizing a slight problem. Water line has to move. Alright guys, everything is going good. We hit our first obstacle. I should have saw that. The water line for the hose bib outside, well, that's in the way of the beam, so we're going to have to unscrew that. Luckily it's just galvanized pipe. It'll be easy to unscrew it and cap it off. There it is. You can try to pull that faucet out. All right, push it. We got the new beam in place. Looks good. Now we just have to shim it up and get the floor level so that it's resting on all the blocks evenly. So before I go further on leveling that beam, I'm gonna go inside and get some work done. I'm just happy that the beam is under there. The house can't go anywhere. If a pier broke, it won't. But if it did, you know, it's got all those new ones to hold it. So I'm happy about that. I'm gonna get inside and we're gonna start working on getting that room kind of reframed and put together. And this is going to be something we do together. There's going to be a little bit of framing, a little bit of leveling at the same time. And we're going to get this, hopefully this back wall kind of put together. So as usual, one thing leads to another, it's getting carried away, and I took down this wall over here, and now we're wide open to the whole porch. It needs to be rebuilt, and I'm going to build it properly. And as you can see, last night I continued working, and I got this first section of wall replaced right here. And what this does is give me support for my top header, and also begins the first section of replacing this wall, which is a big mess. I have to replace this wall in sections because it's a main load-bearing wall, and I just can't take the whole thing out at once without building a big support wall. And this is actually an easier way for me to work. So I can put this in, I'm going to do the same on the other end, then we're going to piece in the middle. It'll be really good. I'm already feeling better about this being supported because this whole wall was really flimsy and I wasn't comfortable with it. And as you can see, the framing is just terrible on this wall. So it's crooked, it's unevenly spaced, the whole thing needs to be fixed. This is another improvement that I didn't show you guys. I worked on this actually a while ago, and that is putting this foam board insulation in the roof right up against the deck and taping all the seams and edges. So basically what I'm doing is making an unvented roof assembly, and that starts with foam board insulation against the decking, and then we're going to fill the rest of the bay with regular insulation. In our climate, I only needed an R5, so I get the 3/4 inch up there, and that's going to be plenty for what we need. that might have looked like a disaster, but we got that new section of wall in. So now the beam is supported on either side with new framing. This middle part with the window is not doing anything. It's just there as a placeholder. So we'll get that framed up later on. Piece by piece, now you can see what I'm doing. I'm replacing parts of the wall. Alternatively, I could have built a temporary wall in here, held the roof up, taken the whole thing down, but this is just the way I want to work right now. So it's a good start. My ultimate goal is to get underneath this pile here and underneath that wall and replace the last couple of boards on the floor. There's 2 boards that have a lot of termite damage in them. Once I get those replaced, then I can build my new walls. Coming right here. So rebuild this wall. It's going to cross over those boards, that's why I want to replace them. And also rebuild the outside wall. So that's what I'm working on right now, is getting this supported so I can take out that wall, so I can replace the floorboards. There's a method to the madness, but it's kind of chaotic, and I have to keep doing different jobs to get to the next one. I just cleaned up the floor, so now I can go ahead and lift these boards, get those fixed, and then we'll keep going. So we're going to replace this board right here. Luckily this outside one is pretty solid, so that can stay, but this one and this one is worth replacing. I just finished screwing these down. They're done. That was an easy fix after a lot of work. This floor does have cracks in it. I'm not worried about air cracks. We're going to put an air barrier over this floor before we do our finished flooring, and it'll be totally fine. Now the cool part about getting this floor patched is now I can start rebuilding this wall that we took down. This floor went under the wall. That's why I had to move it. But before I can build this wall, I have to put some insulation up here so I can put my blocking in to support the wall. Now that I have the insulation in place, I can put in my cross bracing. It's going to be like this. Now I'm going to do round 2 with the insulation and get a second layer put between those studs. I temporarily screwed the bottom plate of my wall to the floor. I made sure it was straight where I wanted it to be, and I did mark out all of my studs. I wanted to make sure everything lined up where I wanted, you know, the door, the opening, and all this stuff. And then I screwed a piece to the ceiling and used my laser level to line it up, and then used the laser also to line up my studs on the bottom with the studs on the top. And this isn't just a typical wall where you can just frame a square wall and put it up. since it's at an angle, it makes it really tricky, but the laser level makes it a lot easier. I don't want you guys thinking I'm some kind of genius and I just throw together this wall and it goes up and it's the perfect angle. I wouldn't even know how to do that. So that's why I have this piece up, the bottom piece down, and then I can measure and figure out exactly what my studs are going to be in between. I'll take this down and frame it on the ground. I could just frame it piece by piece in place. I'm just not a big fan of toe nailing, which is going at an angle, screwing or nailing at an angle into the stud. I'd rather attach them from the top and bottom. So that's what I'm going to do.
I'm gonna help.
Yeah. Hold that side. There might be nails and stuff that you have to, find your way over. Kind of where it belongs. Now we're just on the smushy insulation and tight sides. So we got the wall framed up, looks awesome. As you guys can see, I installed a huge window going from this room to the porch. And the wall originally didn't have a window here, but where you guys are standing is going to be a screened porch. Why not let the light in here? There doesn't need to be any privacy. And this room is actually going to be our dining room. So we got the insulation up in the ceiling, all except for this last bay over here. I have to wait because there's some finished framing I have to do before I can insulate that part of the ceiling. But the rest of it is all done, and as you can see, I added these furring strips. I did it a little unconventionally. Most people who fur out their ceiling put them perpendicular to the joists, so crossways. But we're going to be doing a wood ceiling like we did in the other part of the house. And I want the wood ceiling to go this direction. So basically, if I put them across the joists, that would have been nice. But then my ceiling boards would go this way, and it's just not the design I wanted. The reason I put these on here is not only to help hold the insulation in place, but because the insulation is too thick. So we've made some big progress on this room lately, and we're going to keep going. This is a perfect fit. Alright guys, we went from one little tiny window to these big, huge ones, two of them right here. Look how cool this is. I know it's hard to envision still without the walls in place, but This room's going to be transformed when we're done. And I think Ashley's going to love all the view and the light that comes in. Now that that's done, I can get under the house, prop up that beam and get it nice and leveled. The reason you would think you would frame after the floor is level. The reason I did it this way is because the floor was sagging because they had the piers so far apart for so long, and that sag gave me the room I needed to get my wall in place. Now that the wall is there, I didn't hook it to the bottom. I can lift the beam up and push it up against the wall. It'll be tight. It just made it easier to get that in. Check it out, guys. We got the beam in place, flush and level. It looks awesome. So this is the existing joist that was supporting the house, and now we have this underneath it with all the extra piers. And we're going to sheathe straight over all of this. And I don't really get to show this much, so I'll mention it really quickly. This is my laser level, and to level the beams, level the floor, all I do is I turn on a horizontal line. So you can see the laser right there, and what it does is put a straight line, and it doesn't matter where I put it, I just put a straight line across. And I start from an existing pier where I know the floor is level. I measure down from the subfloor. I don't even do it from the joist because joist can be different. I measure down from the bottom of the subfloor down to the laser line. Then I come over here and I measure down and I see where the laser line is. And then I know if I need to go up or down to get it to that same measurement. And I do that all the way across until the subfloor is the equal distance from the laser all the way across. So this should be nice and level right now. And since it's nice and level, I was able to screw in the bottom plate of my wall all the way across. Yeah, everything looks really plumb and nice. We should be good to get those windows installed. In fact, we ordered them just the other day. They're probably going to take a month or so to come in, so we're going to have to just close them up temporarily. But windows are on order, and now walls are going up. Let's get that plywood on the wall. I just finished the sheathing on this wall. I'm so happy that's done. That already feels a lot better. Also gives a lot more structural integrity to the house. There's not too much to say about it. Everything went smoothly. It was square. It was good. I mean, it's so wonderful when you're working on new framing. It makes all the difference in the world working on new framing versus old framing, because when you have everything straight and square to begin with, everything just goes smoothly. So it's done. And I know that some people will complain about our mess over here. I know it is a mess. That's our dumpster pile that we're kind of piling up. It makes the property look sloppy in a video because this is all you see. But the rest of the property is pretty clear, and it's just one little pile. One little pile. We've been piling everything right there so that when we get enough accumulated, we can just order a dumpster and pile it all in. And conveniently, it's right next to the room that we had to work on next. I did pull it away from the house with the excavator so I could get in there. It probably looks like I'm working in this chaos and I'm going to be stepping on nails, but I did make a walking path. I could have made a little more room, but there is a path behind it right now. It's not right up against the house like it used to be. I don't know. Everything's fine. I made it through. I'm alive. No injuries. And the wall is done. I feel so good about this. Keeping in mind, we still have to do this half. This half is going to be a little trickier, but I'm sure we can get it done. We made it this far. Now this is actually going to be a screened porch. It is a porch, but it's closed in. We want a screened porch. So, totally different system over here. We still have to do this wall right here. We're gonna do just like we did on this back. We're gonna be replacing this because it's framed very badly. And we're gonna change the window layout, and the whole thing just needs to be redone. So I'm gonna frame up a new wall, tear down the old wall, put it in place. We wanna get the new one built first so that we can go quickly without having the whole side of our house ripped open. We just finished up framing our wall. That's looking good. Hopefully I got all the measurements right so it pops right in. Now we got to get this wall out of the way. This is the fun part. So once again, we're inside the room. I wanted to show it to you one more time before this wall comes down. So that's the wall. You can see we have our washing machine and a sink and our water heater behind me. We're going to leave those in place. They shouldn't be affected by this, and they're too heavy and too much to deal with moving them around. We have no place to put them anyway. They shouldn't interfere with what we have to do. So push that out, put the new one in, get it screwed in place, done. Now we do have some problems that I'll have to deal with. One is that I didn't realize how crooked this room was. This really bugs me, but what I found out, see, when we started our renovation, we started on the other end of the house and we didn't even think about this part. We said, leave that for later. I never put a level on the wall to see if the walls were plumb or anything like that. I didn't care. Well, we ended up doing our bedroom. We did the roof, replaced the sheathing, did everything we could. And then, now that we're getting to this room, I realized I made a huge mistake in that these walls are not plumb. They actually are quite angled. This back wall, which I know I framed it new, but I have to frame it in line with the roof because this beam was already here. It's attached to the ceiling rafters and the floor is already there. Well, going from the floor, going up to the roof, the wall is about 3/4 of an inch off at the top, on this end only. I really stared at it and considered all my options, and the best thing is to just leave it. I just have to leave it. Now the other thing is that this wall leans out. it leans out a lot, probably 1.5 inches or more, 1 3/4. It's really hard to explain it, but at some point in this house's history, we know it's been lifted, taken off its original foundation, moved around. I don't know when this happened, but this whole back wall inside our house, like, went like this. All the studs went like that. So I didn't notice this before, but with the boards off the wall, I can really see it. All the studs are at a slight angle. You know, that's because this house doesn't have structural sheathing. It just has wood boards. And boards are strong, but they don't stop this kind of movement because the boards are all individual. So they have a little bit of, it can give a little bit. And it did. This is the only wall in the house. I went through and looked at other places, but this whole back wall leaned. And here's the problem. This is the part that really stressed me out, and I mean, it bugged me for days, that I hate leaving stuff crooked like that. Because that means that this whole wall is, you know, almost 2 inches over from the bottom, and you're going to have like a bulge in the house, and it's just, ugh. And you might say, well, why not fix it? I could have fixed it, but it's too late because I did the roof. That's the part that really gets me, is if I had put a level on the wall before doing the roof, maybe I could have came over here, pushed my excavator against this corner of the house, and nudged it back over. You'd be surprised. You can move the house that way. And leaned it back up straight. But the problem is, since I have my sheathing on the roof, the sheathing is structural, and it locked the roof in place, because when this wall leans out, the roof went with it, so everything's kind of out just a little bit at the top. I can't move it with that sheathing in place. It has no give anymore. Not only do I have the structural sheathing on the roof, but the metal panels, they're all screwed down, and metal is very rigid. So there's no way for me to move the wall unless the wall was independent of the roof, and it's not. All the rafters tie in, and I'm not going to cut off all the rafters across our whole house. Talk about disaster. Needless to say, if before I did the roof, I checked these walls and realized that they were not plumb, and I should have seen it, somehow I didn't. Well, I could have fixed it, maybe. So this is one of the things you deal with old houses. I'm not going to stress about it. I am going to stress about it, but I'm going to try to move on from it and accept it for what it is. But it is annoying that we're going to have a wall that leans this way, a wall that leans that way, which means the corners don't come together cleanly. We can hide it. It won't stand out too sorely. It's going to make putting a kitchen together a little more tricky because the wall isn't straight. So when you put your cabinets on the wall's leaning out. They touch at the bottom. There's a big gap behind them at the top. We'll have to do a lot of shimming. We'll have to do something about the countertop. I'm in the process of reframing the door behind Stan here because I have to, the door is kind of crooked, so now I have to reframe that, which is fine because I was going to shift it over a couple inches. Now, I don't want to show you my mess too much, but here, once we get all this wood down, and we are going to continue taking that down, we're going to put sheathing in here too. This is the wall that leaned. So once all these boards are off, we get sheathing on it, it's going to lock it in place, and it'll be very solid forever. So anyway, just wanted to share that. I know it was not really information that was relevant, but it's just something that's bugging me because I hate crooked walls. Sometimes you got to deal with crooked walls. So anyway, this wall, I don't know if you can see it, but it has right here a fair amount of termite damage up in this top wood above the window. And it was kind of just hobbled together, and it's, like I said, this wall isn't straight. It's all framed poorly. So that's why we're getting rid of it and doing our own one. We're getting rid of this wide window, putting in a single window, and it's going to be symmetrical in the room, so it's going to look really cool. I can't wait to show you when it's all together.
Me too. That doesn't sound healthy.
Now we're gonna...
No, it's not. gloves on and all.
Help mommy when we lay this down. Actually, might be able to just lay it right up. Okay. Oh, it looks like a good fit at least. All right, that's good. Okay.
There must be things pushing on it.
Well, it's just tight. I made it to fit, you know.
Actually, that went in a lot easier than I expected. How about you?
Well, I try to plan ahead and make it go smoothly. So let me show you guys what I've been working on right down here. So as you can see, I had to shim this out because this joist wasn't going straight. It was kind of all warped like this, and that's where it got nailed in. I wanted it straight on the outside, so I put my wall flush where it belongs, even and even at the two corners, shimmed out the joist where it needed it, and then I added this beam. I got a new beam under here. Now we did that off camera this morning to get a head start on the project, and we're ready to start getting the sheathing on. This beam wasn't here before. You remember we had pieces of wood hanging down. I just didn't like that system, so we thought we'd beef it up a little and give me something strong to nail to. I screwed my wood down here to hold the plywood panels as we put them up on the wall, and we're ready for sheathing. So let's get it out in the house and be done with this. Now I can put nails in around the window here. Well, I've accomplished my goals for today, and we got the other side finished. Now I'm going to go ahead and get some house wrap on it just to protect the wood a little better. Hopefully I'll have enough in this small roll that we have left, and we'll just get it mostly sealed up. I still have to finish above here. There's a triangle that I need to fill in. I'm going to do some framing on the inside and then put some more sheathing on that. I don't know if I'll get to it today, but it'll be easy. I'll fill that in soon. Yeah, pull it right down to the end, and then you can hold it straight. Don't you think so?
The rain screen will be okay with it.
I just ran out. Well, we almost made it all the way around and I ran out of house wrap, but that's okay. I'm not sure if we're gonna just piece it together or buy another roll, but that's as far as we made it today and I'm okay with that. We got a new foundation under the house. We got a new beam, 2 beams in place, level and solid. We got all new wall framing. It's like a new room. And now that the walls are up, we can get ready to start doing electrical and insulation, but I can't do that yet. This is as far as I can go for now. So for now, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.
Bye.